Keep It in the Ring live this Wednesday evening, May 22nd, 2024. I'm Rich Mancuso. As always, welcome in everyone for an hour of combat sports. And we got it again, of course, the boxing, the MMA, and a lot of the pro wrestling. Going to take a look briefly of a little ECW reunion later on in the hour. Me with Assault Championship Wrestling this past weekend. My social media handles at the bottom of the screen as always. Tell you about it again. X, formerly Twitter, Ring786. Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. Other social media platforms, even on Instagram. And, of course, we are live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and please subscribe. As well as live on the AGT network. And to our followers on Twitch, again, welcome in. And, of course, there's the Facebook Keep It in the Ring page. I hope you can see that as well, where I update it daily with your boxing and wrestling and MMA content as well. So, welcome in, everyone. Carl Roberts, my able producer in the background. You'll see him in a moment. And let's get Keep It in the Ring started for this week live. And, of course, we're going to lead off with the Unified Heavyweight Championship. Well, for how long will this unified heavyweight title be unified undisputed? After Tyson Fury lost to Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia, as seen on payperview.com and thezone.com, the Zone pay-per-view, if you saw it, you saw a thrilling heavyweight title fight to unify. Now, I would not say this was a epic heavyweight title fight. Certainly not Ali Frazier or any of those great heavyweight title moments of the past, or even recently with Deontay Wilder fighting Tyson Fury 3 times in their trilogy. However, this was the last time we had a unified heavyweight champion was in the year 2000, Lennox Lewis, in the 3-belt area with the 9th, but had it. And so here we had, it was a little delayed, but we got it. And again, not epic, but good. So I don't hear this was an epic fight because there you see that Tyson Fury went down in the 9th round with the knockdown from Usyk. And Usyk gets the split decision. The scorecards, as you'll see, 115-112, 114-113, 114-113 for Fury. I had it 114-113 for Usyk. Possibly that knockdown 9th round. Got it. Fury said he won the fight, and he also said that it was favored to the Ukrainian because it was a factor with the war-torn nation that Usyk is from. Don't buy that at all. It was a fair decision, and Tyson Fury lost his part of the heavyweight championship, the WBC, and Alexander Usyk has all the belts for now. But Usyk is to be reckoned with. He has been. He has the power and the ability, as I always say, a fighter must have. His 170 punches landed, most against an opponent that Fury has faced. So, Usyk is now the undisputed champion in the heavyweight division, which, again, as you hear me say every week, is considered the face of boxing. In this case, I can't say that because immediately Tyson Fury invoked his rematch clause and said they will do it again. In the 4-belt area, it's been very difficult to unify the heavyweight championship. Again, we haven't seen one since 2000, Lennox Lewis, and even more than that. But is this title unified? If you read my column on NewYorkSportsDay.com this week, folks, you'll see my explanation. You read it as to why the heavyweight title, and a lot of titles in boxing, Terrence Crawford is an example, Charlo brother is another, whatever. They tried doing that last year. With the exception of Canelo Alvarez, we have a unified champion, he at 168. And it seems like that's been stable with boxing. But in the heavyweight division, no way. And so Fury has invoked the rematch clause, looking at October 12th as the next date these two will meet. Now, here's the problem. Why can't this be unified for long? And it probably won't be unified very long because the IBF reportedly this week will mandate that Usyk defend his belt, that part of the belt, the IBF, alphabet soup, as I say every week, folks. IBF, International Boxing Federation, one of the major titles in the four-belt era. That Usyk will fight 17-0 Filip Havok of Croatia. So that leads to the rematch Fury invoked in the contract. Won't happen in October. Because if Usyk has to fight the Croatian for the IBF title, that means, as you know, undisputed unified heavyweight championship or champion no longer exists. So it's just a matter of time, folks, before the heavyweight division once again is in disarray. And we no longer have an undisputed unified heavyweight champion. And for the sport, again, that blatantly sucks. Because you see, my friends, boxing gets no respect. The reason, again, is this. Too many of the sanctioning organizations take control between their mandatory title defenses and guys that are ranked in the top 10, IBF, WBC, WBA, WBO, whatever, all alphabet soup, they command and reign in the sport. Not the promoters, not the fighters, but the sanctioning organizations I call of alphabet soup. And so we went for a title, undisputed heavyweight champion this past weekend in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, if Usyk and Fury do it again October 12th or later, Saudi Arabia will do it again. The kings and princes have the money. They made that agreement. And we know Saudi Arabia now is the king of boxing next to Las Vegas, Sin City. Again, the point, an undisputed heavyweight champion will never be the face of the sport because the sanctioning organizations will not allow it. And not since that era of Ali, Frazier, Norton, Spinks, Holmes, all those great heavyweights of that past era. And even Lennox Lewis recently, and the Klitschko brothers who held a reign on that heavyweight championship for years, the two brothers. I mean, we cannot get this heavyweight division in order. We, meaning people that follow boxing, can never understand the heavyweight division getting in order. Let alone we that follow boxing that we love so much can never understand boxing politics and why this works. Why does this continually happen? The answer is very simple. As I say to you every week again, it's about the almighty dollar. And as I say to you every week, my friends, the almighty dollar is ruining not only all sports and a lot of other things in our world and society, but in boxing that truly holds. And here, when you think you're having unification in the most important division in the sport, when you think you have it, now you may not have it. And that certainly appears that's going to be the situation. So boxing is in disarray again, despite the fact we currently have a unified undisputed heavyweight champion in Alexander Usyk, who is a great champion, by the way. This guy can fight. This guy has won his last 5. And out of the Ukraine, that is a factory of champions right now, he holds the title as the unified heavyweight champion and reigning in the division. There's no doubt about it. And I don't expect him to lose if he gets the mandatory IBF. And I do expect him to fight Fury again. That is, assuming if Fury says, I've had enough of this politics and I'm walking away. Tyson Fury loves the sport. Tyson Fury's made a lot of money in the sport. He's not going to walk away that fast. Whether it take another year again to do it again, to unify, who knows? Time will tell. But for now, we know boxing politics sucks. And the heavyweight division, once again, is in a mess because Alexander Usyk will have to face the IBF mandatory. regardless, here we go again. In the mix, we have fighters waiting for a shot at that title in the heavyweight division that have made themselves known over the past year. Again, let's take a look. Who could Usyk fight next, or Fury, if that be? Of course, Anthony Joshua. Of course, the Englishman, the UK, very popular. They still talk about Joshua and Fury, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. All right. Of course, Fury, who rebounded after a loss to Usyk, is back on this trail to regain the title. Unified or not? Who knows if they do that? Or Joseph Parker, the 32-year-old who beat Wilder by unanimous decision. All right. He's in the mix with 5 straight wins. He could be next. And then there is our friend Deontay Wilder, who gave Tyson Fury 3 epic championship fights for the title. He's always in the mix, Wilder, despite him saying after his last fight before he last won that he was going to probably walk away. He's made a lot of money. He's well off. You know, Fury stopped him 4 years ago in their trilogy. But still, after all of this, and after Usyk and Fury settled it, or supposedly did, Saturday night in Saudi Arabia, we still don't know who the face of boxing is, except it might be Canelo Alvarez, and not out of the heavyweight division that always was considered the face of the sport, where people looked at the heavyweight champion as the top and face of the sport. That distinction, to me, still belongs to Canelo Alvarez, the still unified, undisputed champion at 168, despite the fact that Canelo picks and chooses the opponents and does what he wants, and he says that. He's very adamant and very much outspoken about that, and why not? He makes the money for the promoters and the sanctioning organizations, and dare you that they're going to strip Canelo one of those belts and make that division in disarray as the heavyweight division is in again. All right. What are your thoughts? Comment on my YouTube page and my channel, Rich Mancuso at the AGT Network, where we're live tonight. Keep It in the Ring page on Facebook. And again, welcome to you Twitch followers once again following Keep It in the Ring. Okay. ESPN and Top Rank, of course, they had to get into the fray of dual shows over the weekend on Saturdays. Usyk and Fury were in the ring hours before because that was in Saudi Arabia time. But here you had undefeated Denise Bernacek, who wins the vacant WBO lightweight title, split decision over 3-division Mexican champ Emmanuel Navarrete. Sloppy fight. 116-112, 116-112, 115-113. Navarrete got that one, 115-113. I could dispute that. I had it 161-112. I saw it on replay. Berinchyk gets the title. The punch stats show also that Berinchyk drew more punches. 11 out of the 12 rounds he did over Navarrete. So Navarrete has now been denied to be the 6th Mexican-born fighter with world titles in 4 weight classes. Not sure, though, if he's going to stay at lightweight or junior lightweight, where he remains the champion. Regardless, sloppy fight. And when you look at it, between Usyk and Berinchyk winning the titles, congratulations to the Ukraine. 2 Ukrainian fighters are going home with championship belts. 2 talented fighters, one out of the heavyweight division and Berinchyk out of the lightweight division, who is now a player in the mix in the division at 135 that still commands a lot in the sport, along with the junior welterweights at 140. And on that Top Rank card, we go back to the heavyweights and we look at the rising heavyweight and upcoming star, Richard Torres, for Top Rank, promoter of the show. The Olympic silver medalist remains undefeated at 11-0, 10 knockouts, stopped previously undefeated Brandon Moore. Now, Excuse me, folks. The thing with Torres is now 11-0. He's still not in that top 10 mix in the heavyweight division. Top rank believes within the next year or by the end of the year, he'll have another fight, maybe even two. He fights an awful lot during the course of a year. And then Richard Torres, who also happens to be a magician. Yes, he's a magician, a practicing magician. Entertains kids all the time in his hometown there in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've seen his magic act. It's pretty damn good, by the way. But his punches are not a magic act. He's powerful. He's quick. And he's a rising star in the heavyweight division. However, he's got to fight more formidable opponents. And he will. And Top Rank is assured that he will. And he's on the way up the ladder in the heavyweight divisions. Congratulations again, Richard Torres. We're seeing an awful lot of him upcoming heavyweight. Let's move our attention to this weekend. It's not going to be a heavy fight weekend with the Memorial Day weekend. And promoters usually step aside a bit so everyone can enjoy the holiday. However, the most anticipated rematch on the boxing calendar this year takes place Saturday. Jack Cantrell and Josh Taylor. They meet again on the Zone. Now in 2022, it was Taylor with the controversial split decision. There they are, the beginning of fight week activities under the Ring of Fire in Leeds, England, just the other day. Of course, Taylor got the controversial split decision and retained the super lightweight title at 140. At this fight, though, at 140, no titles up at stake. This is more about revenge in a war. They hate each other. And I can tell you there is a lot of animosity. You follow these two, you follow the sport, you know what I'm talking about. So it's going to be a brutal fight for these two at 140. And look for fireworks. You know, the final press conference will be tomorrow in Leeds, England. And then the weigh-in, the ceremonial weigh-in on Friday. I'm going to expect to see, and you should too, a lot of pushing and shoving. And the promoters have their hands full here because Cantrell and Taylor, two of the top fighters in the division, looking to end it. And if I could say right now I'm right, I will be. We could be leading to a trilogy in this one. You know, if you remember their first fight, it was very controversial. And Cantrell, the split decision was not what Cantrell was looking for. Neither was Taylor. But, in boxing, you're going to get judges who have their own way of thinking. Very subjective sport if you don't knock the guy out. And that's the intention here with these two. One or the other, Taylor or Cantrell, is going to be looking for the knockout. So it doesn't go in the hands of the three blind mice judges at ringside. So we'll see where that goes. But this fight is going to be a war. It's in the UK, Leeds, England. It's Saturday night on the Zone. Looking forward to it. That's a major fight on the calendar this weekend. All right, what do you want to talk about? You know what I'm leading to. I'm doing this every week, but not as much now because Ryan Garcia decided to take his exploits and his antics to Saudi Arabia, was at ringside for the Usyk Fury fight. Of course, he had to be there. He wants to be in the limelight all the time. And there he was doing his post on X and Instagram, and he's talking about the children and helping them, and says he's innocent of the steroid allegations. And by the way, his appeal is being looked at, and we should by the end of the week know if Ryan Garcia is going to be implicated here by the New York State Athletic Commission. And if he gets fined, suspended, whatever, I have not heard anything. Nobody really knows what the outcome will be. Ryan Garcia, though, still on the defensive in his fight against Devin Haney. Again, if he loses the appeal and he gets suspended, whatever, there is a very good chance the fight will be overturned. The decision, Haney will get the win. But again, he still retained the title because Ryan missed weight from the beginning of this, but on April 20th in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. But here we go now with Ryan Garcia's newest antic. Now he's saying he's talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. And he's challenging Jake Paul. Come on, Ryan, don't do that. I will finish him. I'll put that on my mama. Yes, that's the latest antic and posts from Ryan Garcia on X and also on Instagram. You know what? I'm getting comments saying, "Rich, why do you continually do this? Because you're only helping Garcia." No, I'm not helping him. He's got over 1 million followers. It is on social media, so he doesn't need me. I do this to bring out an attention to what type of nut Ryan Garcia is. Talented fighter again. I reiterate that week after week. Mentally not stable. I repeat that week after week, and I will continually do that until this guy, this young 25-year-old superstar in the sport, gets some psychiatric help that he desperately needs, though he says he doesn't need that. He's cheated boxing by what he did on April 20th by missing weight. He cheated the sport also, supposedly with steroid, but though I still will be in his defense about that until I know the true story about that testosterone that supposedly said was banned, that he took, and he was tested supposedly before the fight and after. And again, as I said, if he was tested for this before the fight by the strict protocols of the New York State Athletic Commission, why is Ryan Garcia allowed to fight in the first place? To save the fight that didn't even make the money they expected? Something's wrong here. That's why I'm not going against Ryan Garcia on this totally as of yet. Let me see the full medical report, the full outcome of this. In the meantime, Ryan Garcia, will you please become a spokesperson for the sport of boxing instead of being this stupid idiot with your antics on social media? It continues week after week. It's stupid. Oh, my goodness. Let me take a break from this. That's what I wanted to talk about. Anyway. And now it's official, though. This is a fighter that's had some antics, done some antics as well. Teofimo Lopez with his takeover at 135, now trying to do it at 140. Well, it's official. He's defending the WBO junior welterweight title on a top-ranked card against Steve Calgert, June 29th in Miami, as he continues to try his takeover. Carl, put that fight poster up. I know we have it there, so we get a better look of Teofimo Lopez, and there we go. Nice fight poster. I love them. I put these posters up because I love them. I tell Carl, I tell Carl Roberts, my able producer, every week to put these up because they're so colorful. And back in the years of boxing, going back all the years I've been in it, involved in it, I have a lot of fight posters from the major title fights and non-title fights over the years with some of the great fighters who made the sport so great as it is. And it still is a great sport despite the controversy and all the bullshit that goes on. And there's a nice fight poster that Top Ranks put out for this fight. Teofimo Lopez needs this win. It's expected he'll get it on June 29th in Miami. He likes to fight there, but the last time he tried to fight there against George Kambosos Jr., and I was a part of that. I got off the plane and the fight was canceled because he caught COVID. He had COVID. And the whole fight card was scrapped at Lone Depot at the ballpark, the Miami Marlins ballpark. This in Miami, the takeover is supposed to continue for Teofimo Lopez. He's training hard. The fight is, 5 weeks away? And he expects this to be the continuation in his quest to take over the division at 140. Well, many say it's still the elite division in the sport. But Teofimo Lopez has a lot to prove and a lot of guys to overtake if he wants to do that takeover at 140. It begins again, though, in Miami within the next 5 weeks. All right, talk about Canelo Alvarez again. According to him, he will fight William Scope next, despite the IBF gear now, again, saying he's that he's the mandatory, but he may not fight this guy. He's not going to go with the mandatory, but I expect that to happen. Remember now, Canelo Alvarez has a mandatory too, supposedly. WBA mandates his next opponent in September. Canelo fights 2 times a year. And that'll be against Edgar Berlanga. Berlanga's, Salih Plant has been challenging Berlanga on social media. Berlanga wants no part of that. He wants to go right to Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's not getting Benitez. Benitez has moved on June 15th. He's fighting then. Light heavyweight debut, first time. But in the meantime, Canelo Alvarez once again saying that he'll do what he wants. He doesn't have to go with, you know what? I'm going to back him on this. If he's going against the IBF alphabet soup, say that he has to fight a guy and he doesn't want to fight this guy. He wants to fight who he wants to fight because he's not going mandatory. I give him a lot of credit challenging the IBF. However, that would be subject to him, though, being suspended and fine. You can't fight the alphabet soup sanctioning organizations in the sport. They command the sport. And Canelo Alvarez might have to fight who the IBF says he has to fight. And again, leads to question. That's one title. Does that mean the 168-pound titles now get split again? I think Canelo Alvarez wants that to happen as well. He's a great spokesperson for the sport overall, whether you like him or not, whether you think of him or not, how you do. And he is a unified champion at 168 and been defending that title really well the last couple of years since he got it. And I don't think Canelo is going to want his legacy to be tarnished because a sanctioning alphabet soup organization like the IBF is saying you must fight this guy. He's the mandatory. Canelo commands and the sport. That's why he does what he wants to do. And Canelo Alvarez could very well say, screw you. I'm doing what I want to do. And what are they going to do? Say no to a guy who brings in more money than any fighter on the planet right now? The promoters are not going to deny him. They want him. Canelo does what he wants to do as his own promoter and jumps ship and gets other promoters to also help in with the promotion. Did that with the Golden Boy, his adversary, Oscar Ahoy, a couple of weeks ago with Jaime Munguia. But that's the latest with Canelo Alvarez. He says, I do what I want to do. You can to a certain extent. We'll see where this goes. So the boxing news is pretty light because the major fight calendars you see scroll at the bottom of your screen. We're in boxing season, and some of those major fights are quickly approaching, including David Benavidez, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, some of the big names and young superstars in the sport, whether they be on the Zone, ESPN, or even Amazon Prime now. They're going to be on there. So catch them if you can, if you want to pay for it, which is another issue. Trying to get one of the streaming network executives to come on and explain the specifics and monetary benefits of why boxing has gone streaming and even pay-per-view still exists, though the numbers are not there. The numbers for pay-per-view are not where they were. I'm anxious to see what the numbers were for Fury and Usyk. I didn't get that, but I know Munguia and Canelo Alvarez a few weeks ago did not do well. 550,000 pay-per-view buys. As I explained in my column at NewYorkSportsDay.com, pay-per-view for boxing just appears to be dead, despite all the pay-per-view attention going to some of the top fighters in the sport, because they're still going to get the money either way. The residuals of how many buys and their purses. So they make a lot of money. But I think pay-per-view with boxing is on the downslide and will almost be extinct in the next year or two, as promoters now go more to the streaming networks and can do pay-per-view on their own off their streaming networks if they want to. But it's not working. It's not working because you, the consumer, the fight fan, are paying for it. And that's not fair at all because you have no free boxing on TV. You only have it on ESPN. That's it. And that's a shame. That's a crying shame. Because I grew up with boxing on regular TV with the old antenna and the black and white TV, and then it moved on to the networks, and they tried to make a revival of that a few years ago, and that didn't last very long because boxing, as some of my colleagues in sports and journalism and broadcasters and writers who I see at the ballpark know boxing is my passion. Lovers, they tell me, Rich, your sport is dead. I don't disagree with them on that, but it's not dead completely. It's dead because if you're not a boxing fan, you don't know what I'm talking about. If you're a boxing fan, the sport's not dead. There's news every day. But if you're not a boxing fan, you can't get tuned into it. To you, the sport is dead. But by all means, the sport is not dead. There's an awful lot of money in it. There are fights every weekend. major or non-major title fights, whatever it be, fighters are getting exposure. They're just not getting the exposure where it used to be mainstream. I go into that a little bit too in my column on NewYorkSportsDay.com. I encourage you to log on and read that. All right. One sport in combat sports that seems to be overtaking boxing, as many say, and it's still rivaling it, but I don't think it might overtake it. You got to look at the statistics, the money being brought in, the revenue gain, UFC, MMA, you're talking about. And we talk about it here briefly, and we'll do some more in depth in the weeks to come. We look at this fighter, Khalil Rountree, lightweight out of the UFC 303 main event, and controversy here for a banned substance. He says it wasn't intentional on his social media. And just like Ryan Garcia said, it wasn't intentional getting scrapped because of a banned substance where he's now going to be fined, probably suspended, and ruins his whole career, Khalil Rountree at a UFC. So, that doesn't end there in the UFC as well. And also with strict medical protocols with the various athletic commissions and governing bodies that not only rule boxing, but the UFC and MMA as well. And in Manchester, England, the first trip for the UFC is coming up since 2016. Leon Edwards, the welterweight champ, will have his third title defense versus Belal Muhammad for UFC 304. That on July 27th. So UFC returning to the UK. And this guy, Anderson Silva, the former UFC middleweight champion. He's opposing Chael Sonnen in a boxing match, not an MMA fight. June 15th in Brazil. And these two had memorable UFC fights, Silva and Sonnen. So now they're taking their rivalry into the boxing ring. So it's going to, again, we're going to see a transition of MMA fighters going into the sport of boxing. Different styles, yeah, in some respects. You still do the punching, but you're doing more striking. The transition is always amazing when you see an MMA fighter go into boxing. And see now with Jake Paul a little bit as he fights Mike Tyson on Netflix in July, pay-per-view. Just going to be spectacular. You're seeing more MMA fighters becoming pro fighters, or at least trying to. Of course, Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather Jr., that's the most memorable one we can bring up in this recent time, the last few years. And McGregor will finally admit that the fighter is better. The pro fighter is so much better than a UFC fighter, which still remains a question. When I'm around a UFC fighter, an MMA fighter, and a pro box fighter, you get the different opinions and debates. What athlete is better? I will tell you this. Both are skilled. Both are difficult. Both are rugged sports. But boxing has more of a science to it. It's not as brutal. And so when a UFC or MMA fighter, say, goes into the boxing spectrum, it's a totally different world. And you're going to see Anderson Silva experience that because he's not fighting now a guy he's fought twice before in the octagon. He's fighting it in the ring, or as I say, keep it in the ring. All right, folks, we're closing out the bottom of the hour, and I don't have a guest this week. I was trying to line up Xander Zayas, the exciting superstar with top-ranked boxing fighting in Madison Square Garden at 154. Continue his undefeated career. That's coming up in a few weeks at the Garden on Puerto Rican National Day weekend. He loves to fight in the Garden, New York City. So I might have Zayas next week. They weren't able to get me this week. So I'm going solo. Would call Roberts, my producer, in a moment. And I still will give you a fact of the week the best I can by myself. See if you can get it. But it's not fact of the week until Carl rolls fact of the week. Hey, Carl. All right. So pay attention because I'm going to give you the answer quickly anyway. All right. Usyk and Fury again. Of course, two great knockout artists. And there's been a lot of that in the heavyweight division in the sport. But here's a fact that you got to know about the heavyweights and the knockout artists. The great late Rocky Marciano, the undefeated heavyweight champion at 49-0, versus Jersey Joe Walcott. They eventually became very good friends. That was the Rock, as we called him. He's the original Rock. In the 13th round, he showed why he was a great puncher and knockout artist as he was. And the fact here is he took care of Walcott in the 13th round with a devastating right hand to the jaw in 33 seconds. That's my fact of the week. Remembering the great late Rocky Marciano the Rock, the undefeated former heavyweight champion at 49-0. Fact of the week, Carl. Close it up. I don't know if anyone got it. We'll get you another one next week, whether it be boxing, wrestling, MMA, whatever, kickboxing, whatever. We'll have it. Carl, close up the fact of the week, my friend. All right, that leads us to the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a brief time out here on Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso, live on my YouTube channel. Please like, comment. We want to hear your comments, and subscribe. Also on the AGT network as well, and my Keep It in the Ring Facebook page. And to you Twitch followers out there, thanks for joining us as well. My social media again, X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. When we come back, it's pro wrestling time. A lot of that this week. I'm going to take a look at the Assault Championship Wrestling, the comeback. They are back. I was a part of that with ECW reunion time also this past weekend in South Jersey with the ECW Jason Knight. Talk about that in a moment. Got some images, and I'll show you, and we'll go run down a little bit and talk about their next card too. Back in a moment. This is Keep It in the Ring. We'll also have WWE King and Queen of the Ring coming up this weekend, and AEW Double or Nothing. I'll be back in a moment. Stay with us, fan. This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back, folks. Staying with us. Thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe. It's Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso on my YouTube channel and on the AGT network every week here. And Keep It in the Ring Facebook page. Like, comment, and subscribe. And get me on social media. I love hearing from you on X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. I love hearing from you, and I try and get back to each and every one of you and take you through doing this until I can say, I may take a week off next week because I am tired. I really am. I'm sure you know that feeling. It's Memorial Day weekend coming up. I can't believe we're going into the end of May already. Unbelievable. All right, before I bring Carl in and we talk some WWE and AEW, let me go back to what I experienced this past weekend in Williamstown, New Jersey, with Assault Championship Wrestling run by the great ECW star Jason Knight. And as ACW as they are called, they are back. This was great. I got to get behind the mic again at the commentary table, and here he is, the great Tommy Cairo. He was my partner up there on the stage. And I had a blast. And I'm glad they welcomed me back. Tommy Cairo's got a great history in the sport, trains wrestlers, and was an ECW superstar. We had him on the program last week. If you missed it, he had some great feuds with Sandman and ECW and whatever. And, Tommy Cairo is a legend in this industry. So I felt a little intimidated calling the matches with him on pay-per-view. But I'll tell you, I learned a lot more, and I've been around wrestling all my life. So that was great being with Tommy Cairo. We're going to do it again. And then, I was hoping to get some of the videos up on the card, but we couldn't, this technical world, and we had a problem downloading, but got some images of a couple of things that went on, including the return of ECW Jason Knight, 60 years of age. He can still move. Carl, put that up because Bulls Mahoney, his son, was involved in his last match that became a free-for-all. And you had Jason Knight there. You had Bulls Mahoney, the son. And you had Mickey Whipwreck, all out of ECW, the reunion. In fact, when they came out, the match was originally scheduled to be just 4 guys, and everyone got involved. Joel Gettner, the commissioner of ACW, got involved. And then you had all these guys coming in at the same time. And you had a feeling a little bit of the old ECW arena, the 2300 arena down in South Philadelphia, which wasn't too far from Williamstown where this was. And you had the music playing as they were getting into it. You had the crowd, the small crowd getting into it. They loved it. A small crowd, and that's an independent show, which you call the indies in the pro wrestling industry. And they are backbone still of the sport with WWE and AEW taking control, of course. And it was filled to capacity. Everyone had a great time. And it was great seeing the legends again. They don't have the moves they used to. And let's face it, they're not youngsters no more. They move a little slower. But you know what? For a night again, we got to relive some history in pro wrestling by seeing those guys. And it was great. It was great. They're going to be back. Put that up, Carl. October 12th. They're going back to the same venue, Williamstown, New Jersey, the Pfeiffer Center, and on pay-per-view again. And I've been welcomed back to do the pay-per-view commentary again with Tommy Cairo. This one's going to be called Pandemonium, and it will be because a lot of those guys are coming back for revenge. And we'll have some of those rising young superstars of SOL Championship Wrestling on the program in the weeks to come and months leading up to October 12th, who were on the first show Saturday night, and they impressed me. They really did. They know how to move, and they got a future in the sport. And Jason Knight, ECW Jason Knight, should be congratulated, and Tommy Cairo, for putting this together, because there are a lot of small independent shows every weekend throughout the country, if not around the world. Some of them don't do well. Some of them do. This one did well, and this one will succeed. And it's the ECW guys in a reunion that make it succeed. Plus, a lot of the young guys that are coming up, they are the backbone of the pro wrestling industry, despite WWE and AEW dominating. So, welcome back to SOL Championship Wrestling. Congratulations to Jason Knight, Desiree, and Tommy Cairo for putting it together at the last minute. And thank you once again for having me, as I'll be back there again on October 12th. And it'll be on pay-per-view. Tickets are currently on sale. I'll keep posting this and letting you know as we get there, week after week, month into October 12th. Looking forward to it. I wish it was again this weekend. I loved it. I really did. All right, Carl, let's bring you in. Here's my great producer, Carl Roberts. I called him Carl Edwards a few times in the week before. I'm sorry about that, my friend. You don't deserve that.
As long as you don't call me late for dinner, I'm good with whatever you call me.
No, never be late for dinner. Neither you or me. All right. AEW being beset with a lot of injuries right now to some of their top stars. Eddie Kingston's going to be out for another year. Torn this, torn that. Bryan Danielson, probably going to be the end of his career as they get ready for Double or Nothing on pay-per-view. We have a big wrestling weekend coming up on pay-per-view, payperview.com, one of the outlets you can catch AEW Double or Nothing, the original pay-per-view event they did 5 years ago in Las Vegas.
What started it all.
Holy, let's run down some of the matches. It looks like an interesting pay-per-view event, Carl.
Sure. So this is the women's match. Your champion Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné.
Finally, she's getting in the ring.
Took them long enough to do this.
Making a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, too, I'm hearing a lot of people are saying that she needs a lot of work back on the microphone.
Yeah, she didn't look the same, even with the
No.
contract signing. But I'm sure as she gets more acclimated in there, she'll get better as the weeks go along. And we'll see what happens on the pay-per-view Sunday, a Double or Nothing.
Right.
What else is in store? Is Tony Khan going to reappear?
I don't know, but you also have this one here, which is your AEW International Championship, Riddick Strong versus Will Ospreay.
Ospreay, their
This is
new
going to-
signee a month or so or 2 months ago, making quite an impact since his debut in there.
And I'll be honest with you, I think Ospreay is going to win this belt.
I think so. I don't think he came to AEW. I think he's not going to get a belt, and he's going to get it really quick. I
Now,
love
the
watching
order
him
I have
work.
here is not the official order yet. It's how
No.
I, as a reporter or a fan, would like to see it laid out. Have the women start it, and then go from there. So
Okay,
the next
but,
one we have here
Okay.
is your women's world championship, Tony Storm, who is your champion, versus Serena Deeb. This
Now-
is going to be one hell of a banger of a match for these women.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm getting tired of this Tony Storm gimmick, the black and white images, the Hollywood star. I'm tired of it. I
Exactly.
would hope that she finally drops this title. And frankly, I'm not impressed with her work.
No. She was good at the beginning, but now it's just like mediocre.
Yeah, it's getting old. It's dead. It's getting old. All right. What's next?
So the next match I have here is Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. They used to be best friends. And then Trent went and turned on Orange Cassidy. So,
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest
another
with you-
thing. They go there. Their storylines are so weak, even going into this pay-per-view. They don't build them up enough. You really don't know what's going on. And if you don't watch Dynamite, Rampage, or Collision, especially Dynamite, their main show on tonight, in fact, you don't really know what's going on. Their storylines are so weak.
yes.
All right, what's next?
Then this one is actually going to be a banger of a match. Is your IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Eliminator match. These two gentlemen have actually gone out and performed together, against each other in New Japan multiple times.
Well, I
So-
like Moxley. Moxley
I like Moxley.
is going to give you a match every time he goes out there, even when he's injured. So
Yep.
I love Moxley. Yeah.
Unless it's a severe injury, he will be out there busting his ass.
Unbelievable, the type of worker he is. All right, what do
Now,
you got
this
after that?
one here is what I'm going to call the co-main event. All right. And it is the TNT Championship barbed wire steel cage match of Adam Copeland, who's your champion, versus Malachi Black. of the
Which
House of Black.
Adam Copeland wanted this. And why not? These are the matches he loves.
Yes. And it's also what Malachi Black loves.
Yep. So that's gonna be a hot match. That's gonna be dynamite, as they
Correct.
say.
And
Excuse
then here's
And
your main event.
You're gonna see a lot of blood.
Oh yes. Then here's what I would put as the main event. And that is your AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage.
Yes.
To me, this would be the main event of the night.
Well, it should be the way that it's been culminating, the way it's coming to this close, because Strickland's been getting beat up awfully bad by Cage on TBS, on Dynamite and Collision, whatever.
But also, too,
Yeah.
the Embassy which Swerve Strickland was part of, turned their back on him.
So that should be good as Christian Cage has moved on from Adam Copeland, who I think the two of them will eventually team up, become friends again, and team up in AEW. But for now,
one more round for them.
Strickland retains the title. You're not going to give that title to Strickland. That's unless
and then drop it that fast. No. Sorry,
he's going to win that match. All right. Now the big one though is the elite match for Control.
Yes, I did not have that because
and now
it was supposed to be Brian
Orange Cassidy.
Now it's Darby.
Darby came back from his injury. He even getting hit by a bus and all that, and that's for Control. Yeah. Maybe that's when Tony Khan comes in the ring and celebrates that he's in control and not Matt and Jackson and his brother.
Right.
So that might happen. And I think that storyline it's been pretty good, but it's been monotonous now. You know, they got total control.
It's a little weak.
Yeah. So
it's a little weak.
So Tony Khan, I believe, comes back, gets things back in order the way they should be. And Double or Nothing looks like it's going to be pretty good Sunday night, AEW's latest pay-per-view. And they're expanding in pay-per-view all the time. They're adding another one, too. And we'll talk more about what they got coming up in Newark. And plus, they got Ring of Honor. So much of the stuff that Tony Khan's involved with there. As they don't get the ratings. The fans are not buying into them again. No more. That's for sure. All right. So, Saturday, around 1 p.m. Eastern Time, WWE, Peacock, which is raising their prices soon for the subscription rate with their Endeavor TKO merger. They're also talking WWE doing a lot of shows in Japan again. Still talk that WrestleMania might end up in London year after next, so, which would be crazy. I don't want to see that.
Yeah. That should stay here in the States.
Yeah.
You want any other review over there, fine.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of money. They're getting a lot of money, especially like the fight promoters, the kings and queens in Saudi Arabia, the kings and princes and whatever, spending a lot of money to bring WWE action. They have 2 shows there now. They want to give them more, maybe 4. They pay them a lot of money. What, $50 million to be there?
Something like that, yeah.
All right, so King and Queen of the Ring, 5 matches. It's Triple H downgrades on a pay-per-view or PLE events as far as the matches. And interesting. Let's run this down quickly, Carl. What do we got first? Because we know the Bloodline storyline is going to come up as well. But here we go.
Actually, that is not part of this, but we'll get into that.
All right.
So you got Cody versus Logan. They went and had the contract signing where it was supposed to be Logan was putting his belt up on, so it made one big winner. It was going to be 2 separate belts, but one winner. And
as it
Logan
should be.
changed that up at the last minute.
Yeah.
Said, nope.
It's not title versus title. It doesn't belong there in Saudi Arabia anyway. And Cody's not losing his title.
It will be Cody's belt on the line on Peacock.
It continues to show the progression of Logan Paul holding the United States title and what they think of his value in the company.
Now, here's the only question is he going to play nice?
I don't know.
Because every time he's won, it's always with the brass knuckles.
I know. Let's see.
What
do we got after that?
Is this one.
Oh, yeah. And Becky's going to kick her ass. I can't stand her. I can't stand
Liv Morgan.
I can't stand her. And she's
even though she's a hometown girl for me.
She might get help from Dominic Mysterio, though, as he waits for Mama's return. But there's talk about that.
Like I said, she's a hometown girl for me, but you know what? I can't stand her.
No, I can't either. All right, what's after that? Becky retains. What's next?
Then you have the triple threat match.
Yes,
Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus breaker. But I'm going to say Sammy retains this one. I don't see how they're going to drop it this fast on Sammy.
So they continue the feud.
Right now, for the king and queen of the ring, the semifinals for the SmackDown is going to be done Friday. So there is no graphics for who.
So we won't know that until Friday night.
Correct.
What the result will be on there. Okay, all right. What's next after that?
That is it. It's only going to be 5 matches.
Right. Now,
the Bloodline has got nothing to do with this.
They're going to milk the show. Obviously, it's going to be more than 3 hours. And a lot of speculation now with the Bloodline here. Okay, will Roman Reigns, is Roman Reigns going to appear and start his feud to take control until they get to SummerSlam again as the leader of the Bloodline? That's a rumor.
We're going to wait.
Okay, I think so as well. And the biggest rumor, which doesn't seem to be no more, that's been building for over 6 weeks or more, is the return of Uncle Howdy. And all signs are indicating that Uncle Howdy, Rotunda's brother, Uncle Howdy in the 6, Bo Dallas, will appear at King and Queen of the Ring, which makes sense because it's a PLE event, and they'll continue it. And here's Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy's been
in Saudi Arabia with the 6.
But here's the thing: Uncle Howdy and some of the 6 have already been showing up to SmackDown.
Right. So, Carl, I got to ask you: are you one of the 6?
Yeah, I wish.
Anyway, it's going to be a very busy wrestling weekend. AEW Double or Nothing on pay-per-view Sunday night. But you get a jump start on it Saturday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend, 1 p.m. Eastern. Peacock, right. WWE, King and Queen of the Ring. All right, Carl, how do the viewers out there get you? I know you have a ton of programs on the network, on the AGT network, and of course, wrestling is also a good thing.
Besides catching me here every week, you could catch me on the Main Event podcast, right here on the AGT network, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Guys, please, we're begging you to help us all out here with subscribers on every platform we have. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok. AGT network across every social media. Come on,
do that, folks. Subscribe, like, comment. We want you to do it. We feel here at not only Keep It in the Ring and my channel on YouTube, Rich Mancuso, but Carl's AGT network growing. And look, we do things differently here. And we try and inform, analyze, whatever. And also bring you some guests when they're available to us. Carl, wrap it up, and I'll say goodnight to you for now. And talk to you later. Thanks again for putting up with me this week, my friend. All right, that's the great producer of Keep It in the Ring and the AGT Network, founder, originator, Carl Roberts. Okay, that's the wrestling segment. We close that all up. We have one more thing to do. We go back in past. We do some nostalgia on the program every week. We're back and do that in a moment. Take a brief time out. I'm Rich Mancuso. This is Keep It in the Ring. Stay with us. All right, before we wrap up, Keep It in the Ring this week with the usual nostalgia and flashback, Carl did mention in the comments section, Carl, come on in one more time. Can't get rid of you. You said that you had to jump on something on the Roundtree substance situation, yes. MMA.
What happened was with Roundtree, because we just spoke about this Monday night on the Main Event. He looked at the supplement. It's a supplement that he's been taking for a while, and they must have changed the ingredients. So as soon as he saw that the ingredients were changed after he took it, he automatically notified the UFC's anti-doping policy coordinators, the vice president of all of that, and pulled himself off. So he's the one that automatically pulled himself off and says, listen, I don't want to be involved with it.
He's guilty.
He admitted it's inexcusable. He did not realize that he was taking it, but he automatically said, listen, I want nothing to do with that fight. I don't want to fight. Pull me off. I'm pulling myself off.
Not like Ryan Garcia.
Whatever.
Not like Ryan Garcia, who knew it all along, probably, but I'm still giving him the benefit
Roundtree actually pulled himself off that match.
All right, you could talk more about that on your program. I want to say goodbye again and wrap it up with the nostalgia clip. Let's get to it, okay? Carl loves airtime, and I don't blame him. He's got the knowledge, too. There's some great shows on the AGT network. Look at May 22nd, 1993. There they are. Roy Jones Jr. defeated Bernard Hopkins, the two Hall of Famers, versus a unanimous decision for the vacant IBF middleweight title. RFK Stadium no longer exists now in Washington, D.C. The first title fight for the Hall of Famers. This was Jones, 4-division champion, of course. Hopkins, the longest reigning middleweight champion in boxing, 3-time light heavyweight title holder. And they fought again in 2010. Hopkins got the 9-title light heavyweight title bout there. In a light heavyweight non-title fight, it was Hopkins winning that again. And you know what? You took in here back in May 22nd, 1993, 31 years ago or so, 2 of the top fighters in that era, 2 Hall of Famers in boxing. And by the way, the International Boxing Hall of Fame induction for 2024 coming up in a couple of weeks up in Canastota, New York. Some great inductees there. We'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks. But look at Roy Jones Jr., what he did for the sport over the years. And great numbers on pay-per-view. Remember, I was talking about pay-per-view just moments ago? Well, Roy Jones Jr. at one time was the leader in pay-per-view when it came to televised fights and championship fights, as was Bernard Hopkins, now the assistant or executive, second in charge of Oscar De La Hoya at Golden Boy Promotions. These two put on 2 great epic, and I would say epic fights, great fights. These 2 are part of boxing history, and I want to show you that because we came up to May 22nd, 1993, when Roy Jones Jr. defeated Bernard Hopkins via the unanimous decision for the vacant IBF middleweight title. I love doing this. I love going back in the past. I hope you do too. Some of you love it, and I'll do it every week. Go back in boxing history, because without that history, we're not talking boxing today. And with that, my friends, that about wraps up this weekly edition of Keep It in the Ring, live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, and the AGT Network, and now Keep It in the Ring page. I remind you to stay in touch on social media. You'll know when we're on again next week. Looks like we're being consistent with the live spot at 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday night. So I'm at X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, and Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And as always, on the AGT Network, stay in touch on my channel on YouTube, Rich Mancuso. Please, I ask you to comment. We want to hear your thoughts. Like, love that. More likes, the better. And subscribe. The more you do that, the better it is for me, of course. And I can keep doing this, which I love to do each and every other week. I want to thank everyone involved putting this together again, including my great producer, Carl Roberts, behind the scenes. He puts up with me each and every week putting this all together. And to you, our great loyal viewers here that watch Keep It in the Ring every week. We'll be back again next week. Watch the social media handles to know when we are. Enjoy the fights this weekend, including Cantrell and Josh Taylor, once again as they rematch in England. Going to be a good one on the zone. And also, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Enjoy it. The unofficial start of summer. I can't believe it's here. As always, take care of yourselves, be good to each other, and as I say each and every week, my friends, thanks for tuning in and keep it in the ring. Thank you.